Welcome to Life, Lessons, and Laughter with your host, Glenn Ambrose.
Hey there. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. So hopefully I can keep track of some comments here. So yeah, a lot of times, the way the platform works is it says that's a live stream because I guess it's the recording is streaming at a particular time that I pick. So, that to me, that's a little bit confusing because people think it's live and they try to interact with me sometimes, which it's not truly live. It's pre-recorded. However, this time is live. So if you have any questions, reach out. I'm going to try to keep an eye on the comments and, let me know where you're from. And we'll get rolling. So I always find it good, dead air is tough, right? So I figured I'd just start with a question and start talking. And then, it often takes some time. Oh, there's Sarah. Yes, I'm actually live. Nice to see you. Glad you could tune in. So yeah, like I'm just gonna start with the topic, the question that I put on, and we'll see where this goes. Because to me, if it's live, I'm going to try to take advantage of that and answer questions that people have in the moment, because why not, right? So, but I am going to start with why are we here? Since it's the name of the the podcast, I should at least talk about it a little bit, right? So, yeah, it's a big question, and I think in this time in human history, there is a lot of change going on. And I think most of us see tons of evidence of the old paradigm that is dysfunctional and doesn't really work for the masses. It's not a long-term way of living that's going to work for the majority of the people. It's just not set up that way. So, to me, I think we're reaching the top of the pyramid. It's kind of like a pyramid scheme. Everything funnels upward, and then eventually the scheme folds. When the people at the bottom have nothing and the people at the top have everything, then that folds. So I think that's what we're looking at in society now. So the old paradigm is falling apart. The new paradigm is being created. And of course, we've all lived in the old paradigm our whole lives. So it's difficult to take our eyes off it. Plus, we're being inundated with it by media and everything else. So it's in our face all the time, the problems in the world. And it's like any other situation. If we're looking at the problem, that's all we're going to see. We need to look at the solution. If we're looking at the solution, we're going to see that. So I think that's a big part of it. And the other part that I found extremely helpful lately is expanding my perspectives. It's the chaos theory. If you're very close to something like a problem, especially, that's all you can see. So to make sense of it, we have to take a giant step back. So the broader perspectives I'm getting, the more sense I can make of things that are transpiring. And when I can come up with a reason, like I'm comfortable not knowing. So I'm not necessarily trying to find a reason that I know is 100% true. I'm just trying to find some logical things that kind of seem to make sense. So I can go, so it can kind of ease that intellectual aspect of my brain and go like, okay, well, yeah, I'm holding it loosely, but I have this loose picture of what's transpiring. And part of that is, why are we here? Like that's a big step back, right? Like what's the whole point? I mean, we've been on, planet Earth for a long time, many generations. And to me, if the whole point of it is what I've seen transpire in the old paradigm, I think it's kind of a waste. I mean, there's tons of suffering, you know, and it can be exhausting when you're in it. And it's like, I don't, there's got to be a reason for all of it in my mind. Otherwise it kind of implies that the creator is a jerk. Really, let's just put people down on planet Earth for, tens of thousands of years where the majority of them are suffering, and that'll be fun. That kind of sounds like a crappy plan, And I do believe that we're made in the image and likeness of our creator, because that's kind of what creators do. They kind of create things that they would like or think would be good. So it doesn't make sense to me to just create a bunch of people so that they suffer or that you torture them. And then you're like, there. Like that, it just doesn't make any sense to me. So I have to take that giant step back and go, okay, then what's transpiring here? Why are we here? Like what's going on? What's the point of it all? Which is one of my favorite questions. Like, what's the point of anything? What's the point of going to work? What's the point of eating? What's the point of, like, I think if we gain clarity on what the point is, we do better at it. So like, what's the point of going to work? Well, because most people run around going, oh my God, I can't believe I have to go to work. You don't have to go to work. You're choosing to go to work. So what's the point of you choosing to go to work? Well, it's so I can eat and have nice things and a roof over my head. Oh, okay, good choice. See, like when we get to the reason why we're doing what we're doing, we do better at it. So then we don't feel like a victim of going to work, because we're aware that we're choosing to and we're getting something out of going. That's why we choose to. So it's like and what's the point of eating? Well, it's if you view food as fuel for your body, you're going to eat a lot better than if you aren't aware of that fact, right? Because if you think it's just to stop your stomach from, on an unconscious level, right? Everybody knows it's fuel, but most people don't think about it like that. So like, you're hungry. Oh, I need to stop this hunger feeling in my stomach. So you just eat junk. Well, I feel full. Mission accomplished, right? No, it's fuel. But if you view it as fuel for your body, then you're going to put in good fuel. Why would you put in something that doesn't fuel your body well, when you could put in something that fuels your body very well, often for less money? So this is what I mean. So the point of everything is, it's important. It's an important question. So Sarah's asking, do you feel the point of anything is growth? Yes. Yes, I do. And when I ask myself that question, like, what's the point of it all? Why are we here? Like, what's the point? I believe it's growth. And I've been really diving into, like I said, the expanding consciousness, the broader perspectives. And what I'm seeing and coming across and learning to understand and putting at the forefront of my mind, because some of this stuff I've contemplated and thought about, but it just kind of drifts back, if you don't put any energy towards it. So to bring it back to the forefront of my mind and really make it a part of my day-to-day reality, I'm finding it very helpful. And I think that it is growth. It's like, if we look at the different life forms here on Earth and what we know about evolution, like, we're in the ocean, and then we wanted to be on land, so we tried getting on land. Now, I don't know what that was like. I don't remember, but I bet you it was hard. Like, how many times did sea creatures crawl up on land and not be able to breathe and die before, or drop back into the water and try it again? Or, like, how many times did that happen until we evolved? Probably a lot. That doesn't sound like fun. But there's this drive for growth. There's this drive for growth that we have within us that just keeps us reaching. And, I think it's like plants. When you see plants that open to the sun or the rain, and they'll I live in a DR, so there's all kinds of wonderful nature around, and you see these vines just reaching out. They start over here where there's no sun, and then they work their way and reach way over here and around something and get out there so that they can get some sunlight. Like, they're yearning for that source of energy. They're yearning, they're stretching themselves to grow, to expand, to become more of themselves. That's just nature. Everything in nature does that. I've never seen an oak tree shrink back down into an acorn. Go like, that was, it was cool expanding for a little while, but I'm going to shrink now. Well, we're constantly trying to expand and become more of ourselves. And, so, like, we can see it, like I said, in the plant kingdom, and also in the animal kingdom. Like, if lots of people have dogs, and, there's an aspect of exercise that many people are aware of. You need to give them proper exercise, or else that energy that's built up in them becomes destructive. And people are like that too. I was like that. I had too much energy as a kid. I couldn't sit still in school, and there was no other option but to sit still. So I became destructive. I just couldn't contain that energy within, but animals, I think, are probably more, I don't think we fully understand it in children. Otherwise we wouldn't have a school system the way we do. But like, in the animals, it's very apparent. And it's not just, they have to expend that energy. They have to use their muscles and just get that energy out of them. And also intellectually, especially if you have a smarter breed dog, like, giving them jobs, stimulating them intellectually, it's very important. And then now we step up to people, right? Same thing. It's like, if people aren't stimulated, if they can't use their brain and their body and do things, that's what's called depression. Non-movement is depression. So when we're not doing things, when we're not participating in the unfoldment of our own life, which makes us more of ourselves, because we have more experiences, we're more exposed to things. Depending on the experience, it can strengthen our muscles and make them better. Also, our mind. It's like the more experiences we have, the more things we understand, the more diverse our thinking is. And then look at people in general in communities. Like when there's more people, then we're supposed to be diverse. We're supposed to be different. That's how we become more as a group than we are as an individual. If we were all the same and then we started forming societies, it would be useless because we'd have 300 carpenters in a community. Be like, I don't know, everybody's starving to death because nobody can farm food. Right? So the diversity is what makes us more. So like really, if we look at nature and life, it's constant movement and expansion. Even the universe is an example of that. It's constant movement and expansion. So, I believe that's what we're doing here. And I believe it's consciousness. This is kind of what I've been grasping lately. It's our evolution. It's, we as humans went from Homo sapiens to Homo sapiens sapiens. We basically went from the stage where we were aware, and then we got to the stage of consciousness where we became aware that we were aware. At first, we were just aware. Then we became aware that we were aware. And so now all of a sudden we're like, oh, okay, wait. There's this voice in my head that keeps talking, but I'm listening to it. So that can't be me. So there must be two of me. So, but this thing's aware of my surroundings, but I'm aware of it being aware of our surroundings. Right? Like what? But that's an evolution in consciousness. And there's one theory that says that that like where this is kind of helpful anyway, just to put just to quantify things. Like, so theoretically, one line of thinking says that we're at third density trying to evolve into fourth density, and that animals are second density. So, and what's the closest second density going into third density? Like, what is an animal that's close to becoming a self-aware human? And they say that it's pets. Pets is one of the best examples of that because they live with humans, and it's funny because I see this in my dog all the time. My dog's a very intelligent dog. And it's one of the reasons I got her, because I knew that I could teach her things if she was intelligent enough to really, try to pay attention. Like I could literally see her trying to pay attention to me. And that was when I decided to adopt her, because I had my own business and I had people coming to the house. So I had to be careful what dog I adopted. I had to make sure it was the right dog. So I fostered her for like 7 or 8 days. And I would talk to her and to try to, like tell her what I wanted from her. And she would be like, I'd look in her eyes and she'd be like staring at me, like trying to figure out what I was saying. And I was like, oh my God, this dog wants to please. Some dogs don't care. They're just like, yeah, whatever. I'm going to go over here and just chew on a bone, which is fine. Those dogs are especially good for people that don't know a lot about dogs, because if you have an intelligent dog and you don't know a lot about dogs, you're in trouble, because they're going to be understimulated, and they're very intelligent, and they will override you. Like they're going to take control of the house because they're pack animals, and somebody needs to be in control. And if they can figure out how to control you, then they will. Right? So yeah, if you're not too good with dogs, get a very unintelligent breed. It's you're going to have more luck with it, and low energy if possible. But so this, my dog, like, Faith, you could really see her trying to understand things. So, and I've seen videos of dogs like pressing buttons to speak. Like, I mean, it's crazy, and I'm sure like dolphins, and other animals are other examples of this. But yeah, that, the pet, it's like, so now I got this in my head. So I'll be sitting there talking to my dog. I'll be like, you're trying to learn how to become aware, aren't you? Like, you can tell that I'm aware of all kinds of things that you're not aware of. And like, I can just make food appear whenever I want. Like, if it's raining outside, we have instant shelter. Like, how do I do this stuff? It's like I can see her trying to figure this stuff out. But that's it. That's the trying to expand, trying to grow, trying to like, how is this possible? What's this happening? That natural curiosity that we have. And Sarah says, yeah, we can learn a lot from nonverbals. Yeah. Yeah. And, people read energy way better than they think that they do. I think some of it is like, of course, there's a thing such as body language. And there's such a thing as tells. Some people can have these tells and they learn to read people and all that stuff. But and I do believe that there's truth to that, but it's all you gotta do is just read energy. Like, I find that much easier. Like, it's not real difficult to tell. I mean, everybody's walked into a room where there was a couple fighting and not a word was said, and you could feel the tension in the room, and you're like, oh, I'll come back later. We can feel the energy. We can read it way better than we think we can. So that's a nice way of expanding, because that's a whole new level of consciousness. So play with that to grow, to expand. Play with your intuition, develop it more. So yeah, I think that this is why we're here. We're evolving into another level of consciousness. I mean, everything's like eternal. Eternal. Like that's so hard to wrap our brains around. Eternity? Like, now, so when you take that giant step back and you go, okay, why are we here? And well, the point is growth, the point is expansion, the point is to raise us to new levels of consciousness, to become more of ourselves. It's like, oh, okay, so there's a point to all of it. That's good. That's good, because I mean, if I if I believed I just, I don't even know what it would be like that, because like I've never been able to fully believe that there's nothing like after death. Like, I would just not think about it. And when I was younger, and then I didn't have to deal with it. But like I said, I mean, if there's nothing, like, what's the point of it all? Let's just be. I mean, to me, if there was no point, then what would this natural striving to be a good person be for? Like when a natural disaster happens and you just see people help one another, or you're just in a small community like I am over here in the DR, and somebody gets hurt and just everybody goes and does whatever needs to be done to help this person. No conversation, no thought, no, do I like this person or do I not like this person? Am I arguing with them right now? None of that. Just help. It's just what we do naturally. What's the point of that? It's just this yearning to be a good person. People don't, like there's a lot of quote unquote bad in this world, right? But every people rationalize their bad. Like they think their bad is good. I mean, even Hitler thought his bad was good. Like he thought he was doing the right thing. Obviously, he was out of his mind, but he thought he was doing the right thing. So, and everybody does that. Everybody rationalizes. When they censor people, they go, "Well, I'm just, trying to create a safe space for people, right? Because I care." No, you're treating people like they're idiots because they're not capable of taking in information and navigating it themselves. They're either too stupid or too fragile to navigate information by themselves. That's what you're doing when you're censoring people. But they rationalize it and they make it sound good. And people in the government, they're like, cutting deals on the back end and all this stuff. That's how the whole political game works. And they're going, well, that's the game. Like, I mean, I have to cut these deals so I can pass this bill that that saves people 50 cents. You asked for it. I did what it took to accomplish it. Like everybody rationalizes their behavior. Nobody's, very, very, not nobody. Of course, there's some people that are attempting to be bad consciously, choosing to. But even them, like I was in that space where I just decided I was a bad person at a young age because that was the feedback that I got from every adult in society because I couldn't sit still in class. So I was like, okay, I'm bad. All right. So then I just did whatever I wanted. Like not intentionally. I wasn't malicious about it. I didn't go hurt people because I was a bad person. That never made sense to me. I would still actually stand up for people that were unjustly treated. But I mean, as far as whatever I just did whatever I wanted. And sometimes it would, I mean, let's just take for the example of teachers. I did whatever I wanted. If I felt like going to class, I went to class. If I didn't, I didn't. If I felt like talking to somebody, I did. And I mean, for the most part, I would try to be respectful when I first walked into class until the teacher gave me a hard time over something. And then it was on. Then I did whatever I wanted because I didn't care. But like that had negative consequences for the teacher, right? And possibly some of the other students because they weren't learning. So I was disruptive in the class, but it wasn't because I was trying to be disruptive in the class. It was because I couldn't sit still and nobody could figure out another option for me. So I was just stuck there. They're like, you have to sit here. I'm like, I can't. And they're like, tough, you have to anyway. I'm like, okay, well, my energy is going to spill over and you're not going to like it, but there's nothing we can do about it. So let's ride this ride. So, she would be blaming me for disrupting the class and I would be blaming her for making me sit there when I was incapable of doing it. And it's like, well, whatever, I just rationalized it just like everybody else does. We all rationalize disruption. So my point is that nobody is trying to be a bad person. If somebody, like I said, even the people who are really trying to be a bad person, the only reason they're trying to be a bad person is because they can't figure out how to be a good one. That's what happened to me. I tried like hell to be a good person and I couldn't figure out how to do it. So then I was like, well, okay, I guess this is the route I'm taking. It wasn't because I wanted it. Like that, it goes against our nature to be a jerk to other people and to hurt other people and to be bad. And it's nobody wants that. We all want to be good. So this is part of, to me, this is part of the growth. It's a hint of what growth looks like. Right? Because what does this, I do believe that we're here to grow, to expand our consciousness. Okay, how? In what way? What does that look like? And I think, love is the energy of the universe. I think we're here to become more loving. I think we are here to get triggered. I heard, I think it was Dolores Cannon talking about Earth. She channels and she's like, Earth is the badass planet. Like, when we're on the other side and somebody finds out you actually had the audacity to go to Earth school, they're like, man, oh my God, that's the hard one. That's where you forget everything. Like, you forget who you are. You forget that you're eternal. You forget everything. And then you come over into this Earth school where there's just polarity over there, and these triggers everywhere, and negativity, and things that are unjust happening everywhere. And like, and I was all caught up into that, just like most people. Oh my God, it's so unfair, it's so unjust. Look at all the atrocities. And yeah, if you look at it and you go, there's no point to it, and it's like, oh no, this is horrible. But if we look at the triggers of the unjust as polarity, I, along with this question, I looked into polarity and electricity. Electricity is basically potential energy. What causes the movement is the polarities. So a negative polarity and a positive polarity, when you introduce those, the electrons start moving. That's what triggers everything, right? So then I'm like, oh, okay, so the negativity here actually serves a purpose on planet Earth. Because if there wasn't negativity and we came to planet Earth to grow, to expand our consciousness, to evolve into another level of consciousness, how would we evolve? We wouldn't. We'd just be sitting around here in utopia, just like going, I want Maine lobster for dinner. Poof, here's Maine lobster. I don't even know what Earth would be like if there was no polarity, if there was no negativity, what we deem as negativity. What would it be like? What happens in your, like, how many times have you heard successful people say that we learn very little from success, we learn everything from failure, right? How do most people get onto the spiritual path and start becoming more of themselves? Through suffering, right? I always say nobody hires me because they're bored on a Tuesday. It's because they're suffering. That's why people hire me as a life coach. Now, the suffering can vary. If people just are suffering medium and they go, I don't like suffering medium, then they'll hire me as a life coach. Or if they're suffering a little and they go, I don't like suffering a little, then they'll hire me as a life coach. If they go, but most people, most people don't make the changes when they're suffering a little. And a lot of people, the majority, don't make changes when they're suffering medium. Most people make changes when their suffering is so intense that they can't take it anymore. And that's where I get most of my clients. Not all of them. Some are just kind of a little bit. To me, the ones who are suffering less are more evolved consciously. Not that that means they're a better person in any way. It's just, I think that that's part of our consciousness growth, is when we go, I don't want to suffer medium. I'm going to make my changes now because I don't like the way my life is transpiring. I don't like the way that I feel. So I'm going to make the changes now when I'm suffering a little, or when I'm suffering medium. I'm just going to make the changes because I know where this goes. Like when you're living your life in a particular way and you're starting to experience suffering, here's a little hint for you. The elevator just goes down. Like, there is no up and down. This isn't a bungee cord. This is an elevator that only goes down. So if you're experiencing any level of suffering, whether it's minimal, medium, or intense, start making changes, because it's just going to get worse. Guaranteed. It never gets better. How could it get better if we don't make any changes? That's the whole point of suffering. It's to be tapping us on the shoulder going, hey, this isn't good for you. You're heading in the wrong direction. That's what suffering is. It's a sign from the universe that wants you to expand and become more of yourself, going, listen, what you're doing right now is the opposite of what you need to be doing. You're not expanding. You're not becoming more of yourself. You're not raising your level of consciousness. It could be because you're still and you're not moving. It could be because you're distracting yourself and not paying attention to just time shooting by. Your life is what happens when you're busy doing other things. It could be, fear-based, that you're too scared to make changes. Whatever it is, whatever's keeping you there, it's like the universe will drop a pebble on your head, and then a boulder, and then a car, and then a hospital, and then you're going to get to a point where your suffering is so intense that you have to change. So the elevator just goes down. So why not just choose to make the changes earlier on? It's like, I try to do that, and I've tried to do that for years. Have I been successful all the time? No, I haven't. I've still experienced extreme levels of suffering because I couldn't necessarily figure out what I needed to do to change. But I was trying, the wrong things. That's why the intensity of the suffering kept increasing. But what can you do? You just do your best and you keep trying. But this is the stuff that makes sense to me. It's like, if non-movement causes depression, which is the lowest vibration, like shame, depression, it's all non-movement, stuckness. That's like the bottom of the scale of emotions. It's much lower than like anger and stuff, because anger can incite change. So like, non-movement is the most unnatural thing we can do. We suffer to the most extreme that we can suffer when we are in non-movement status, when there's no hope for a brighter future and we're not moving, right? So it would make sense for the opposite of that to be what we should be doing. If that's what we shouldn't be doing, then what's the opposite of non-movement? It's movement, So if that's the opposite, we're supposed to be moving. Look at the really older people that do things, that you see a lot of movement in them, right? Like the 85-year-old that goes back to college to get a degree, or the 90-year-old that jumps out of a plane, or like those types of people. Have you ever noticed the energy level in them? Their energy levels are extremely high because they're still participating in life. There's still a flow of life force energy through them because they're active. They're expanding themselves. They're trying to become more. They're trying to do more. Right? So that's nature. That's all of nature is doing that. It's trying to become more. Trying to become the fullest expansion of itself. So I think that's why we're here. We're here to expand. So we need to actually put conscious energy towards that. So I guess, I'll probably have to actually wrap it up soon. This went by quick. I still got a little time, but when I bring these big, to me, there needs to be a purpose to what we're doing. So I don't talk about this stuff and contemplate this stuff and do podcasts on this stuff and think about it and try to implement it in my life for no apparent reason. I do it because when I do it, when I sit there and I try expanding my mind and thinking of these big topics, and then I go, okay, all right, so let me look at life through this big perspective where I'm here to expand my consciousness, most likely, mainly, but to become more of myself in all kinds of ways. So and love feels good. Hate feels bad. So if something feels bad, that's my sign that I shouldn't be doing it because I don't like to feel bad. Love feels good. So that means that's a sign that I should be doing it. So that's part of it. So to expand in love, if I do that while I'm here to the best of my ability, there's a chance that I have a choice. When I get on the other side, after I die, I could have a choice and say, Glenn, wow, you really expanded your consciousness. Like, you figured out that everything was love. You figured out that all the troubles that you have and all the troubles that you're seeing are just triggers to try to promote your growth, and they're not real. And this is illusionary reality, and we're all creating our own reality. And like, you figured this stuff out. So you raised your consciousness level to the fourth density. So now you have a choice. You could either go back down to earth in third density and try teaching people and helping, or you could just be fourth density, maybe on another planet or over here, or maybe fourth density on a different version of planet Earth or on planet Earth. I don't know. I don't know how all this stuff works, but I like the idea of having choices. Because quite honestly, coming down, I mean, I got my ass kicked. 20 years of alcoholism, the deciding I was a horrible person because of the societal pressures on a young child. I mean, hell, I mean, even in the last 21 years after I woke up, all the family court that I had to go to take care of my son and all that, it's freaking hard, man. I'm not interested in coming back here to have this type of experience again. Like, if I do come back, it's going to have to be a completely different experience if I have anything to say about it. So I'm going to do my best to evolve into the vibration of love and become more of myself and expand. So I actually have a choice. Instead of going, get your butt back to earth, man. You got to go through that again. You didn't get it, man. You didn't get it. You didn't get it that it was all love. You didn't get it that it was all an illusion. You fell asleep once you got there, which everybody does, but then you never found your way back to reality. You never found your way back to truth. Maybe next time you'll go, and then now I'm back to a sea creature, not literally, but figuratively, back to a sea creature experiencing pain to try to evolve. I don't want to experience a bunch of pain to try to evolve. I want to evolve so I don't have to go back and experience that pain. So I can use the triggers that are here on earth, use the suffering to push myself towards becoming more of myself, more of love. And like I said, then hopefully I'll have a choice when I get over there. And it simplifies living on earth because I'm not concerned about what people think about me. And I mean, like, if you're walking around being loved, most people are going to like you anyway, except for the haters. And then the haters are going to hate you anyway. So it doesn't really matter, but it helps me not be so concerned about that because I'm working on something bigger. People are like, well, Glenn, you didn't do this or do properly or that, or you didn't reach this level in society's structure of what's important. And, you never had a Lamborghini, so you must not have been the most of yourself. Like, that stuff doesn't matter. Like, how loving was I? And I'm not perfect. I got ways to go. I get triggered sometimes. But it helps me make sense of the big picture. So I don't get sucked into the little picture of all the turmoil going on this planet. It's like it's just triggers. It's just an illusion. It's there to get us to figure out that it's not even our reality. It doesn't need to be. There's my rant. Let's see. In your opinion, why do the people who aren't moving and learning in their older years continue to just survive in their unhappiness? Why are they here? Good question. So I'm going to kind of tune into it because I don't have a pre-conditioned response. Why do people who aren't moving and learning in their older years continue to just survive in their unhappiness? Well, I believe partially it's that we have a very strong will to live that's hardwired in us. And I think that that's because of all the suffering here on earth. And it's because that the school of earth is so hard. Like if we didn't have the will to live hardwired inside of us really, really strong, really deeply, there wouldn't be any people on the earth. Everybody would just commit suicide. So like they just wouldn't, like the levels of suffering that people go through. Like if there wasn't something stopping us from ending our lives, I think many people would very quickly. And that's not the point of it. Like you don't get to learn, you don't get to evolve. You're caught up in the suffering, right? So we there has to be a deterrent so we don't leave. And I believe that is our will to live, to try to keep us here so we experience enough suffering that we start looking for something else. So I think that that's probably the main reason. And then I think as society, really, to me, this is more of a recent problem than a humanity problem. Because, like if you look at ancient cultures, older people were revered for their experience and their wisdom, right? So throughout the last 10,000 years, like I don't think old people needed to just sit in unhappiness, just miserable all day, and then eventually finally die. They weren't miserable because what they had was wisdom and experience, and that was valued. So they had a purpose. So that's a form of movement. Maybe they're not moving physically so much, but they're moving emotionally and mentally and becoming more of themselves by sharing their wisdom and helping others. So I think that that's how humanity's been throughout history. So it's just, the last 100 years. I mean, realistically, it's probably been 100 years. You might say 200 years from certain perspectives, but for the most part, I would say it's even more of a condition for the last 100 years when societies got so big, and our values got so out of whack, and we lost our sense of community so much that we just pushed the elderly out to the side and stopped valuing them for anything, and then that's where a lot of their misery comes from. I think just, there's no real reason. This is why I think people, and I don't know if this exactly fits, but it's something that I see that's a bit of a problem in society. I guess what I just mentioned is a bigger problem. We don't value them, but like I think everybody wants to be a good person, and we're still learning how. We're not that good at it, quite honestly, in my opinion. So people do things to try to be good people that it doesn't make you a good person, but they think it does because it's just surfacey. They don't fully understand it. So it's like helping the elderly sometimes, like, just like if I'm going to try to come up with an example. if there's a old person that the only thing they ever do is walk to the mailbox at the end of the driveway every day to get their mail, and that's the only movement they have in their lives, please do not go get their mail for them. It doesn't make you a good person. Like, they need that movement. They need to even use their brain to go, did the mail come yet? Yeah, he's always here by 2, and it's after 2. Okay, good. So I'm going to go down. All right. What do I need to do? Is it cold out? Do I need to put on my shoes? Do I need to put on my coat and my hat and my mittens because it's cold out? And do I have to be careful walking because it could be slippery if there's snow? And like, just using their mind in that way, not to mention the physical movement of standing up, getting ready, and walking down and back. Like, as sad as it is, that might be the only movement that person gets intellectually, physically. So don't take that away from them in the name of being a good person. So yeah, I think, and nowadays we have plenty of distraction. 100 years ago, we didn't have what are we? I don't even know when television was invented, but 100 years ago, we didn't have the televisions, we didn't have the cell phones, we didn't have the constant distractions and the ease of living. So people were doing things. Like, I live in the Dominican Republic. Like, there's not a bunch of old people just sitting in their house all day. And I mean, and they have TV, but they're usually sitting outside talking with their neighbors, still walking around, mobile, doing things, So it's very different over here, which I like. And older people are revered over here. They're still valued and treated with respect, which I like, So yes, it's approaching an hour, so I got to wrap it up. So yeah, thank you, Sarah, especially for chiming in, and thank the rest of you for watching and paying attention. And I mean, of course, most people are going to see this after the live because it'll be uploaded on other platforms and stuff. But that's all good. So yeah, I think that's going to do it. So just in closing, just try to. Cool. I'm glad you were here, Sarah. Thank you. Thank you for your participation too. I appreciate it. So yeah, in closing, it's just broaden your perspectives. Think about the big picture questions, not just for that, but it really does help. I'm telling you, it helps make sense of what's going on in the world and prevent you from getting sucked into the problems that seem so important because we're so close to them. But then when you take this giant step back and you start understanding we're here for evolution, and you make that, by proxy, like, if I am more love and I'm more expansive consciously, then I'm going to help more people, right? I'm going to find better solutions. So it's not about avoiding what's happening on Earth. It's actually making us more capable of interacting with what's transpiring here on Earth. But we got to get ourselves to that place first. Expand first, right? Expand ourselves first. We're busy pointing the finger at everybody else and all the problems in the world. No, expand our consciousness, become more love, do that. And then we're at a place where we can actually help other people to experience less suffering because we're more loving, we're more expansive. We have more ideas, we have more solutions, we're more capable, we're more of ourselves. So, do this so you can become more of yourselves, not as the end game, but as the leaping off point for the rest of your life, for really making a difference in the world, a wonderful, loving difference. Yeah, that feels better. All right. Thanks. And we'll talk with you soon. Peace.